Berjumpa lagi. I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta.
Xin chào and welcome to ASEAN Today. I'm Ngan of VTC10 Netviet in Hanoi, and this is your weekly look into the dynamic Southeast Asia region. We begin here in Vietnam, where the region's top diplomatic summit was held online due to the coronavirus emergency. At this 53rd ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting from September 9th to the 12th, leaders emphasized the strengthening of pandemic cooperation, as well as the recovery of each country's economy. Agreements regarding an overall recovery plan of member countries have been formally submitted to the ASEAN Secretariat. More from regional leaders coming up later in our Hot Seat segment.
Large protests continued in Thailand, with thousands gathering outside parliament over amendments to the country's constitution. Protesters are demanding changes to the 2017 constitution authored by the former military government, which critics say paved the way for coup leader Prayut Chan-o-cha to return to power as a civilian premier. The protest was initiated by the pro-democracy group Free People, which organized a rally attended by 20,000 people on August 16th. A majority of the 750-member parliament is needed for a constitutional amendment motion to pass.
Malaysia opposition leader revealed plans to again shake up that country's government. Anwar Ibrahim claimed on September 23rd to have enough lawmaker support to form a new government. Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin rejected the assertion, saying that his administration remains firmly in control. The move raises the odds for a new election to settle months of political uncertainty. Anwar said that he commanded support from close to two-thirds of the legislature's 222 lawmakers.
Numbers only after I informed the Agong. Agong should be the first person to be informed of the details. But it suffices for me to say it's not a small majority, it's a convincing, formidable, strong government we're talking about.
Muhyiddin emerged as Malaysia Prime Minister in March after political turmoil that saw the surprise resignation of 95-year-old Mahathir Mohamad.
The impact of the coronavirus pandemic has been severe as the region finds ways to gradually return to normalcy. Here's a rundown of recovery efforts. Indonesia's capital city, Jakarta, reacted to a sharp rise in infections. Governor Anies Baswedan again extended work and business restrictions until October 11th. Indonesia has seen record daily increases of infection multiple times in the past month. ASEAN's biggest economy had more than 260,000 cases at the end of September, with more than 10,000 dead. Malaysia's Prime Minister ordered the extension of the country's travel restrictions until December 31st. The emergence of new clusters in several states and a jump in the number of cases led him to that decision. The restrictions were originally scheduled to end on September 1st. The quarantine requirement for travelers who enter Singapore from low-risk countries has been reduced from 14 to 7 days. Those include Australia, China, Macau, Taiwan, Vietnam, and Malaysia. A negative COVID-19 test after completing the quarantine is also required. And Vietnam has resumed international flights to 6 destinations. Bookings are open to specific passenger categories such as investors, business managers, and tech workers. The destinations are China, Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, Cambodia, and Laos.
Students here in Vietnam have returned to school with required measures taken to prevent the spread of the virus. All students are required to go through quarantine before they can return to campus, and both students and teachers need to submit documentation before being allowed in classrooms.
Thứ nhất là chúng tôi phải đảm bảo rằng chúng tôi đảm bảo sức khỏe để chúng tôi khai báo tờ khai y tế để đảm bảo rằng chúng tôi không bị nhiễm hoặc bị sốt, bị ho gì trước khi chúng tôi đón nhận các con.
Campus ceremonies are being allowed except at schools in Da Nang, where the threat remains serious.
Singapore is globally known for its shopping attractions, but the COVID-19 pandemic has brought the retail industry there to survival levels, particularly at one iconic location. ASEAN Today's Karina Tasha reports.
When these businesses set up shop at the Jewel Changi, they were hoping to leverage the massive 5.5 million passengers at the 7th busiest airport in the world. But with travel restrictions in place and travel movement down by 97%, many of them are struggling.
We came to Jewel Changi Airport for a specific reason. This is a place where a lot of international tourists will gather. We have 50% tourists, 50% local. Of course, tourists do contribute to a higher amount of spending. Maybe 60% of spending are by tourists.
旅游业每个月损失最大的就是员工薪水加上租金，如果这个疫情再延续下去，那就很难支持。
This fusion restaurant saw an immediate revenue drop of 30% when the travel restrictions were put in place earlier this year. But that wasn't the only hurdle they had to deal with.
From February onwards, it was actually quite bad. So the sales dropped quite a lot because firstly, there's no more tourists, which means about 20-30% drop. And then with the lockdown, even Singaporeans are not coming out during that period. And also with current restriction, the social distancing restriction, we are seeing, usually we are packed, but because we are unable to turn the table around, so our sales definitely drop.
But with community cases down to single digits in recent months and the gradual easing of restrictions, more Singaporeans are stepping out and exploring their own backyard. The airport has teamed up with tenants to redirect their strategy toward locals, using promotions such as tax-free sales, attractive discounts, and special offers to use Changi Lounge that used to be exclusive to VIP travelers.
In terms of promotions, in conjunction with our 55th National Day, for the month of August, we actually launched our 55% discount off ticket prices to our attractions. We have also worked with a local travel agency, Monster Day Tours, to curate a tour that showcases the operations of Changi Airport and things that the public may not know about Changi.
Revenue has tripled since the country exited its partial lockdown, although nowhere near pre-pandemic levels. But retailers say that with the help of domestic businesses, survival has become more realistic. Karina Tasha for ASEAN Today.
More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
ASEAN's effort to control COVID-19 and begin economic recovery. Regional leaders in the hot seat. Next. You are watching ASEAN Today. I'm Ngan in Hanoi.
And I'm Raissa Chentami in Jakarta. The region's top diplomats held their annual summit in early September with the coronavirus pandemic and the ongoing tensions in the South China Sea topping the agenda. Foreign ministers in the hot seat from Hanoi.
With the experience of the SARS epidemic in 2003, the ASEAN +3 cooperation mechanism mobilized into action at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. And new and constructive ideas were drawn, such as the COVID-19 ASEAN Response Fund.
Giữ vững đà hợp tác liên kết xây dựng cộng đồng ASEAN. Chúng tôi cũng đã nhất trí triển khai hiệu quả các sáng kiến quan trọng của ASEAN về ứng phó với COVID-19. Các bộ trưởng cũng đã hoan nghênh những đóng góp ban đầu đáng khích lệ của các nước cho quỹ ASEAN ứng phó COVID-19 và nhất trí là chỉnh sửa các quy định của quỹ để tạo thuận lợi cho đóng góp từ các nước đối tác cho quỹ.
Don't let the Chinese Communist Party walk over us and our people. You should have confidence that America will be here in friendship to help you, just as we've been for the last 3.5 years. I'm happy to announce today some new initiatives to strengthen our bonds and support your sovereignty and your growth. First, we're pleased to adopt the ASEAN-US Plan of Action for 2021 to 2025 to guide our future engagement together, in line with ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific. We're launching, two, the Mekong-U.S. partnership to expand our engagement with the 5 countries of the Mekong region, a region of tremendous importance to ASEAN's prosperity and unity.
When it comes to the South China Sea, our collective aspiration to agree on a mutually beneficial, effective, and substantive COC that would contribute to regional peace, security, and stability is in accordance with international law, including the 1982 UNCLOS. As country coordinator, the Philippines takes pride in the continuous progress of our resumption of the COC negotiations in the midst of the pandemic. We will get a lot done a lot faster. As the Philippines is the next host, we will meet face-to-face no later than November.
The conflict in the South China Sea is not limited to the region. The U.S. sanctioned 24 Chinese state-owned companies it accuses of helping Beijing's military buildup in the disputed waters. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
We will go to Thailand. That's where volunteer paramedics are doing double duty in these pandemic times. This is ASEAN Today.
And we are coming to you this week from Hanoi and Jakarta. Thailand honored its frontline paramedics on the World First Aid Day on September 12th. ASEAN Today's Raissa Chentami reports on the vital role they play in the country's medical system and why many volunteer for this duty.
Emergency medical services here in Thailand are often deployed by charitable foundations and funded by public donations. The system mainly relies on volunteers who rush to traffic accidents or crime scenes before the arrival of fully equipped ambulances. A dedicated group of volunteers commit large amounts of personal time to ensure the public gets swift and skilled medical assistance when needed. Raissa Chentami is one of them. The 35-year-old paramedic is part of a rescue team at the Ruam Katanyu Foundation, a private organization that uses volunteers to support the capital's underdeveloped emergency services. Before serving as a qualified first aid responder, Raissa was professionally trained.
In the training, I learned how to do first aid with different kinds of wounds and how to stop bleeding. Then I learned about how to protect bones and how to immobilize patients.
The volunteers have tried to build a first defense line to protect their community from the deadly coronavirus.
Yes, COVID has changed things a lot. We need a lot more protection. We used to go out with just a mask and glove, but now we have to go with full protective gear.
The volunteers have courageously stuck to their post, providing basic medical care to sick people and transporting them to hospitals during the country's outbreak.
We have had a call to see a patient who's unconscious. I can see he's wounded his eyebrow. I think he fell, but no one knows how or where exactly. His breathing is normal, his pulse is normal, but we can't wake him up, and his eye is not responding to light, so we got to call a medical team.
Thailand was the first country to detect the illness outside of China. It's kept new daily COVID-19 cases mostly to single digits in recent months, allowing officials to gradually relax a lockdown. And that's due in part by brave volunteers like Raissa. Raissa Chentami for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. The Tech Back Thivo Festival will take place from October 2nd to the 3rd in Bangkok, Thailand. The HSBC Singapore Rugby Sevens 2020, scheduled for October, has been moved to April 2021. And runners will line up for the Vietnam Jungle Marathon on October 24th in Mai Châu. Residents in Singapore have been taking advantage of a staycation experience at local hotels as the city-state gradually lifts COVID-19 restrictions. ASEAN Today for Zoom Azim has the story.
International travel for the most part remains banned due to the COVID-19 pandemic, so the Singapore government is encouraging residents to enjoy domestic vacations and activities. Checking into a local hotel for a relaxing break is becoming a popular option.
所以我们这些配套呢，是特别针对不同的人群的打造，无论是家庭、朋友，亦或是情侣之间过来，都可以找到适合他们的配套。
Hotels have added more services such as complimentary hotel food vouchers, outdoor picnics, and children's park tickets. Packages are particularly popular with families with children, with some hotels fully booked during a holiday.
We're here on the family fun playcation, and the kids really like it because they get to come to the splash zone and the hotel.
Favorable prices and new services have made staycations the latest trend among locals, but not all hotels have been allowed to reopen. The hospitality industry is hoping for the end of the health threat and a return pre-pandemic level business. Fauzul Azim for ASEAN Today.
We like hearing from you throughout the ASEAN region and the world. All of our episodes are posted on YouTube, so check us out there if you can't find us on your local TV channel. Then let us know what you're thinking about or what you want to see on the program. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com, post something on our Facebook page, or tweet us at ASEANTodayTV. Thailand held its first pandemic-era pageant in its capital city. More than 40 contestants with impaired hearing took the stage on August 22nd to compete for the crown of Miss and Mr. Deaf Thailand. In this pageant-obsessed country, this event is considered a relatively small competition, but it was enough to bring hope to an industry that's been hit hard by COVID-19. Ngan, Thailand stages thousands of pageants each year with titles such as Miss Elephant, Miss Pineapple, Miss Sticky Rice, and even Miss Papaya Salad.
And good luck to them all. That's ASEAN Today for this week. I'm Minh of VTC10 Netviet in Hanoi.
And I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta. Thank you for watching. Please join us again next time.